everyone, today we have a Dayton generator here. It's a 1,000-watt small little generator. This is my personal one. We don't have to do anything with the engine besides maybe a little tune-up, but that's it. The story behind this is I got this for $20. The person selling it said that they used it for a while and then they went to go turn it on, it wouldn't start. They don't think a 1,000-watt was really worth the effort and money to repair, so they sold it on the internet. 20 bucks. I figured it was a carb issue. Got home just to test it out. I then pulled on it, but nowhere here does it say really choke. At least if it does, it's not easily viewable. It's probably just stuck underneath a whole bunch of grime and dust and just nasty. I then saw this arrow and I'm like, oh, okay, what way does that arrow turn? So I then turned it like so, and I pulled on it, instantly started, turned it off, ran fine, checked it, 62 hertz, no load, put a 800-watt load on there, goes down to like 59.9, runs flawlessly. This tank at a fairly decent load. I mainly use this for like lights and whatnot when power's out. Nothing really important, but I think I filled it up and was able to last a whole evening and then a good section of the next evening, and it's not very big. Point being is I love this little generator. This is not going to be sold, but it does have some problems. Those problems being primarily cosmetic. I don't really like this, but I don't really use a 12-volt charging system. If you actually take this cover off, you'll see that the original plug that was supposed to fit in this little slot here is still there. I don't really know why they put this on there, but they did. I'm not going to worry about that. Now, it does have a handle, and I would be completely okay with just using said handles. The problem is I am not the only one that uses this. It's actually going to probably be used more by a family member of mine that lives not too far away. It's not far enough to drive, but walking while carrying a generator, which is surprisingly heavy because it's older, can be a little hard, especially with a couple recent unfortunate turns for their health. So I decided, what is this stuff? More rubber? I decided that we are going to put this on a case, or on a stand really, or cart. There we go, even better word. So I found some 1-inch tubing, have about 8 to 10 feet of it. They're all the same size, and I want to measure right here to right here. I'm hoping it's kind of square. If not, then I'll just have to find a different way to mount it, but I want to build a square base for this. Take this plywood off and then put wheels on it, and then on one side or another I want to have the ability to put a handle. Now where I store this is in a shelf, so I want that handle to kind of be removable in a way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 1-inch piece of square tubing come up to right about the handle level up here. So the rod or the tubing will be pretty much right there. Put like a round, maybe like a bolt, weld that in there just so it has something there to kind of anchor to. Drill a hole in it for a pin, and then drill a hole in another piece of tubing, which then can go on top. Put the pin in, you can carry it, put the handle off wherever you want to go, and call it good. I have a couple of these spacers, which I know we're going to need because these are not good at all. I think I have at least 4 of them. I hope I do. I see at least 3. If we do have to reuse one, I suppose that's not the end of the world. But I'm going to do a little bit of a brainstorming session here, but I wanted to get this started immediately because wintertime is upon us, and apparently we're going to have a snowy one. Snow is in the forecast for next week, so I want to get this done and over with, so let's get started. When looking at it, it looks like we just have 2 anchor points on the bottom the generator head part is actually just resting on it. So I don't really know how much I like that, to be honest, but okay. I'm gonna measure that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cutting a square out, and then with that square we'll then, so my problem is the wheels. If I put the wheels, technically with a full tank of fuel, this end is the light end, and I kind of want to have the handle on the heavy end just for the advantage of the weight. No fuel in there, I want to say it's pretty even. So I'm thinking, because I need to have a little bit of a room for the wheels, thinking potentially of having the square kind of go off to like the end back here, and then I don't know, I have to do a little more thinking. Here's my thought. Now, when I tip this back to roll on the wheels, the fuel tank is going to be up front. Now the fuel cap is in the front as well. So if I were to put the wheels in the front, if it does have fuel, it could potentially start leaking. That wouldn't be good. In addition to that, if I do have the handle up in the front, I could potentially hit my hand or something can cause a problem. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something to right about here, and then the same thing on the other side. Square, bolted to it, and then from there I'm going to anchor the engine to it as well, and then over here have it come out just a little bit. That way I could put a handle coming up. Now the wheels will have to come over here. I have a piece of, I don't know how thick this is. It's not quarter inch, 3/16 maybe. It's pretty thick metal right there. I'm going to cut into a little square, drill a hole down the center, put a rod through the center of it, and then have wheels going through there, which kind of brings like a question up of the spacers, because in order for me to do that, I'm gonna have to get new spacers, which why I have the 3 other ones, potentially 4 of the other ones. So the spacer is going to be there to kind of help with the wheels spacing with the rod going underneath it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it cut out, measure it up. Don't have my tape measure right now, otherwise we just do it, but let's go ahead and get it cut. Got everything cut, and I put bright metal on there. Just took a flapper disc and took off the scale and whatnot. So that's not 100% clean, but it's not. Putting aside the nasty welds, apparently my gas was not right. I think we are doing pretty decent. I measured from on the engine where I need to actually drill and whatnot. So this is going to be, there's going to be a hole about right there, and about right there, and there, or maybe on the inside. Don't remember, but I'll have to double check once I actually get the engine off the piece of plywood that's on right now. But going to put it on, drill the holes, and the engine will mount right here. The actual power unit is going to rest, it's going to be somewhere around here. I'm going to end up having to put in, let me double check here. Yeah, so I'm going to put the power unit on. It's going to be resting somewhere along the right here. I don't really know. I'll have to weld in another piece of this bar, but eventually It's going to have another piece of tube welded right there. I need to clean it up, of course, and then this thinner piece is going to go inside. I kind of went away from the idea of putting pins in there. It's not like there's going to be any force pulling up on the handle or pulling down. I want this to be easily removable. I might still do that. I don't really know. So what I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to take a little time. I'm going to grind down these welds because I want a level surface. And I'm not going to worry about the bottom. From the plate that I had, or I guess it wasn't really a plate, but anyway, it's going to go right about here. And I'm going to weld it so it's pretty much like this. What that's going to do is going to have the ability to put in a bolt. I'm going to put the bolt through. Now the power head is rounded, so it's going to clear the head of the bolt and the weld, but it's basically going to sit like right about here. And then I have some wheels that are going to go on the end of it. I went to the hardware store. I measured to see what, or I measured the wheels to see what type of bolts to get, and this is the size that I needed because I want the nut, when it's on there, after the wheel is actually on, it has maybe just under like 1/8 of an inch on either side, so it's not going to rattle back and forth. That's what I don't want, at least not that much. So I'm going to get that cleaned up, welded. Next time you see it, this bolt and the corresponding one on the other side is going to be on. I might even do the handle, don't know yet, and then we'll get started with the actual installation of it. Okay, so I kind of skipped ahead. Unfortunately, the power went out, so the generator that I was making this for needed to go into action. It was only for like a day or two, so that's good. But it's done. A couple things of notation. I ended up having to put a washer here and on the other side because the wheels, if it were to actually touch this plate, the generator was about 1 inch or two too wide. So just to make it clear, I did do that. Now, this is not a small engine thing, but it is going to be part of a welder's kind of rant. So let me get on to that one. So as you can tell, these look like a blind person who's never welded did them, and I agree. So this is what I was doing. I kept noticing porosity. So I would clean it. I mean, I've literally brought this down to bright metal, acetoned it, everything. The wire is good. It's a Lincoln wire and a Lincoln welder. I thought maybe my flow meter wasn't working right, so I went down to my local welding shop and they had a new flow meter. So I'm like, okay, bought that. Still nothing. I even, next day, I took the tank and asked them if it was just empty, is my meter just wrong or what? They said, nope, you got plenty of gas. I wanted them to verify if they could. That it was actually 75-25. They just said, don't even worry about it. This tank is practically full. Take us this brand new tank and we know is 75-25. I'm like, okay. Took it home, same exact thing. So at this point, I'm chasing air in my system. I'm running it at about 30 CFH, 25, 30, probably closer to 25, which is on the high end. So I lower it down to 20. So I lowered it down to about 20, same thing. Went up to about 35, same thing. So at this point, I'm figuring there's an air leak. I even go back to the same welding supply, buy a new line that goes from the flow meter to the machine, and that's still not doing anything. Spray everything with soap and water. That's not doing anything. Can't find a single leak. Eventually, at the very end, on some of the welds on the bottom, I'm able to find out that the little seals on the end of, I guess I'm not really, it's escaping me right now, but the connection to the machine, there's these two little seals. Here's one of them. This is the good one. Well, this is the one that goes further up inside the machine. This one is obviously fine. The other one, which for whatever reason I cannot find, I think I probably just got angry at it and threw it away, was broken. So this entire time I'm chasing this giant issue, and all I needed was a new seal. Put a new seal on there, or O-ring, clean it up real good beforehand, made sure it was good to go. I even warmed it up a little bit, took it inside, made sure it's nice and expanded. After that, I threw away the plate, but I was doing some test runs. No problem. So, unfortunately, this was my my testing, I'll just say that. But anyway, point being is if you're having problems, don't just assume it's the easy stuff. Well, that's not even the point. Anyway, so a couple other things I changed. I actually welded the bolt to the frame so the machine will actually fit directly on there. In addition to that, the handle, I did put a little bit of a, let's see here if you can find it. I drilled a hole, put a pin in, and I made it sure this can clear the machine, and it can. I put the clip or so it can be taken out this way. In retrospect, I probably should have drilled it the other way, but it still works. The wheels and everything seem to be fine. So I think I'm going to clean it up real good, put some shark hide on it, and then put the machine on there. And then I have two nuts that can go on here. So these right here, and it should be fine. Now, like I said, these welds look like they're absolutely horrible. I'm not going to disagree with you. And if I were to receive this machine or the stand, I would be a little upset. But I do believe it's sound. I mean, I've over welded this thing because I was trying to fix a mistake. Everything is fully welded around. I have no idea how much the cost of this was because the majority of this was just stuff I had laying around, with the exception of a couple of the nuts and bolts and the wheels. I did buy the wheel special for this because I wanted something small, as well as I don't want anything inflatable. I wanted a solid wheel. So yeah, we went from non-movable old plywood that looks like it's weathered in a hurricane for the last 50 years to this, which should be a lot easier. The place I put it, in fact, let's just put this on right now. It's not the easiest because it is a little tight, but I don't plan on taking this off very much. There we go. I think it's on that side. It is, perfect. So the handle, which is right here, is lower than the actual base. So where I have it being stored, this is not going to be a problem. And when I need to take the handle off, I just take the handle off, put the pin back in, and it can be stored when I need it. Put the handle back on, put the pin in, and it can wheel around. So I like it. Yet again, putting aside the horrible welding, I think this is a good upgrade. I'm going to be doing a couple videos on this machine because this is my own, and I have absolutely zero reason of I don't think I'm going to spray with rust shark hide. I think I'll just leave it the way it is. It's not going to be in the rusty areas or wet areas. So anyway, yeah, if you need a new stand and you have a couple pieces of tubing. For this one, I needed, now I made the handle a little longer, I needed four. These I believe were 2.5 inch or 3 inches, but these were 4 inches for the wheels. So 2 bolts, two different size bolts. I think total for that was like $3 because I bought them individually, and that's how the store I go to likes to gouge you. So there's that. If you're gonna buy the metal, I think I bought that 4-foot section for like $5, $4. It was a cut off or scrap or something. The handle, though, I did have to go to the actual hardware store and pick up a small piece because I didn't want to drive to that metal supply store, which is significantly farther away from me. So I did pay like $8 for that. So that sucks, but it was 4 feet long, so what can you do? So the wheels, I believe, were 12. So what, we have 8, that's 12, that's 20, 25. Let's just say for under $30, you can make a new stand. And that has wheels, and it should be good to go. So I'm going to probably put this down, and we can see how the wheels work. I just realized I don't think I explained this little front area. You can't really see, but to make the gap, I took a piece of the tubing. It's about 2 inches. It's like a piece of just like a cut off from a different project. Same tubing and everything, so it'd be about the same anyway. And it was roughly the height that I needed, including the rubber spacer I was going to put on there. So I drilled a hole in there, welded a nut so I can put a screw, and then it just screws on and off. So down here there's a rubber spacer and a little 2-inch piece of tubing. So if I need to replace that rubber spacer, I can. So that's good. Everything seems to be nice and secure. So let me put this down and we'll give it for a try. The point of this isn't to show that the engine runs, but I want to show that it's not going to rattle all that much. So let's give it a try. The engine does run. I'm going to still clean the carbon because there's a whole bunch of questionable stuff on there. There's like a giant blob of rubber gasket maker on the intake. There we go. Not sure why I moved it originally, but I kind of found a spot. The floor is really slick. It's dusty, and yeah, and the outside concrete where it's a little rougher should be a little easier. Now with no foot, I can easily just pull and move. And then it sets down, sets level. Everything should be good. So hopefully if you have something like this helped you out. If you have any questions on anything, let me know. I'll be happy to send whatever information you need. But it's a pretty simple little thing for like $30, maybe 40 or 50 if you have a really expensive place where you like to buy your supplies. You can make a custom for your own generator little stand, and it works pretty good. Okay, if you like what you see, keep watching. I know this is a little bit different than the usual one, but it is going on a small engine, so hopefully it's not too dissimilar. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good night. Subscribe, put a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram, SmallEngine101, and have a good evening. Bye.